Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a powerful, long-term strategy for cracking India's toughest competitive exams. And spoiler alert, it's not just about studying harder. It's about building a fundamentally stronger, more resilient mind.
So let's kick things off with a question that really gets to the heart of it all. We all know these exams are not a sprint, right? They're a multi-year marathon. So the real question is, how do you actually win one?
Well, the answer, according to the strategy we're looking at today, is totally counterintuitive. It goes against everything we hear about starting intense coaching as early as possible. In fact, it argues that's probably the fastest way to burn out.
This right here is the core philosophy. It's a whole new way of looking at things. The idea is so simple, but it's powerful. You've got to build the athlete first, and only then do you train them for the specific race. It's all about creating a tough, analytical mind before you start burying it under a mountain of syllabus content.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with building that resilient mind, then we'll cross the foundation bridge into academics. From there, we'll dive into mastering exam psychology, lay out a blueprint for scoring high, and finally, we'll talk about the real prize at the end of this whole journey. So this whole journey begins way before any of the serious textbooks are even opened. We're talking about the ages from 6 to 13. This first phase is all about what our source calls the most valuable skills. You know, the ones that are uniquely human, the stuff that computers just can't replace. So instead of cramming advanced science, the priority here is building confidence and those sharp, analytical instincts. Public speaking and debate, that develops what's called the most valuable skill of all, people skills. Sports are for discipline. Puzzles sharpen logic. And yeah, banning the calculator, that is an absolute non-negotiable for building the mental speed and accuracy you're going to need later.
And this is where the role of sports gets a total makeover. It's not just some hobby. It's presented as essential training for your mind. I mean, think about it. Learning how to lose a game, get back up, and go again, that is the exact same resilience you need to handle the ups and downs and the crazy pressure of exam prep.
Now, this is super important, what not to do. The source is crystal clear on this. Avoid any kind of formal coaching for these hyper-competitive exams at this early stage. Pushing too hard, too soon just leads to burnout, and it robs kids of the time they need for this crucial skill development. The goal is to build a mentally tough, well-rounded person, not a worn-out academic grinder.
Okay, let's move on to the next stage. This is where we start building towards the academics, but it's all about doing it at the right time and in the right way. This is the bridge that connects skill building to that intense coaching phase.
This timeline just lays it out perfectly. Look at how the pressure slowly ramps up. The serious foundation work starts in Class 8, which is a pretty low-stress period. This gives you time to really learn deeply without constantly being afraid of failure. You're essentially creating a 3-year buffer to build your concepts before those 2 final, high-stakes years of coaching even begin.
And this distinction is absolutely critical. Foundation work isn't about rushing into the 11th and 12th grade syllabus. Nope. It's about developing your skills, using concepts from things like Olympiads in a pretty relaxed, curious way. Core coaching, on the other hand, is that intense, high-pressure, all-out push to finish the syllabus and get the best rank possible. 2 totally different things. Understanding this helps you kind of reframe why you're even studying these subjects. Physics isn't just a bunch of formulas. It's a test of how well you can visualize a really complex situation. Chemistry is about how quickly you can manage a huge amount of data. And math, that's the ultimate test of your grit and your problem-solving skills. Each one is training a different part of your brain.
All right, now we're entering the final, most critical years. And at this level, success is often less about what you know, and a whole lot more about how you perform under some pretty extreme pressure. This is all about the mental game.
The source makes a fascinating argument here, that top exams are actually testing a 4th, unwritten subject, your exam temperament. It's your ability to manage your time, your stress, and your strategy right there in the moment. And it's every bit as important as physics, chemistry, or math. So how do you get a good grade in this 4th subject? Well, these aren't just little tips. They are full-on psychological tactics. Top exams are designed to find people who can manage their resources, not people who stubbornly fight every single battle. Starting with your strongest subject builds confidence right away, and being flexible lets you adapt and get the best score you can, no matter what that paper throws at you. So beyond psychology, there's a very specific, disciplined approach to practice that separates the good from the truly great. Let's break down the tactical blueprint for getting a top rank. Now, pay very close attention to that 3rd step, recall.
The source points to this as the single biggest mistake most students make. They only revise their weaknesses. This strategy says you have to constantly revise your strengths until they become totally automatic, ready to go flawlessly when you're under pressure.
70,000. I mean, that number is staggering, but that's the target, to solve around 70,000 questions over 2 years. But why? Because that massive volume builds the muscle memory you need for a top score. It makes sure that almost every question you see on that final exam feels familiar.
And this is just a brilliant way to build speed. You don't just practice, you practice under self-imposed, kind of unrealistic time pressure. So if you can normally do 5 questions in 15 minutes, you aim for 10. This literally forces your brain to work faster, which makes the actual exam timing feel way more manageable and a lot less stressful.
Okay, so after all of this insane work, what is the ultimate payoff? What's the point of this intense, multi-year process? Well, the answer might not be what you think.
Most people assume the big value of a top college is the amazing curriculum. But the source argues that sometimes the curriculum itself can be a little outdated. The real value, the actual prize, is the people you're surrounded by, an elite group of other high achievers, and access to a powerful alumni network for the rest of your life.
And that's the ultimate outcome. This entire process is your ticket into a community of driven, high-performing people who are going to challenge you, work with you, and create incredible opportunities for you for life. If there's just one thing you take away from this entire blueprint, let it be this. It's all about shifting your perspective. It's about moving away from the short-term goal of just passing an exam and towards a long-term strategy for building a successful mind and a successful life. And that's really the central, provocative question this whole strategy asks you, your parents, and your teachers to really think about.